So this began, and frankly it still is, a horrific story in a local paper about a 10-year-old little girl who had to cross state lines to get an abortion. A story that was cited by the President of the United States, and, well, it soon turned into this.
The administration, speaking of lying, just repeat a story about a 10-year-old child who got pregnant and then got an abortion or was not allowed to get an abortion when it turns out the story was not true.
Well, it turns out it actually is true, right? The right-wing media jumping on the story to suggest that it was somehow a hoax. And the Wall Street editorial board called it, quote, an abortion story too good to confirm. That's not a thing, by the way. That is until a suspect was arrested on Tuesday. And as you can see, the Wall Street Journal had to add an editor's note to its unfortunate piece. It also filed a new editorial to, quote, correct the record after a man confessed to the crime. Now, the about face is as astounding as it is awful. And what's worse, figures like Fox's Jesse Waters, who piled on the suspicion, now want to take credit for the suspect's arrest.
You would think the story of a sexual abuser roaming free, assaulting 10-year-olds, would raise quite a few concerns in small-town Ohio. But no one seems to be doing anything about it. No one even knows anything about it. Primetime covered this story heavily on Monday, put on the pressure, and now we're glad that justice is being served.
Oh, okay, sure. Joining me now is Ashley Allison, Jonah Goldberg, and Alice Stewart. I'm glad you're all here. Just to clear up the record, they were not waiting on him to actually announce this on Monday. We've known about the story for quite some time, but to take credit for it really shows me something very different. I mean, the fact that this was a story nobody wants to be true. No one wants it to be true that a 10-year-old has been raped repeatedly, let alone got pregnant and had to have an abortion. But why politically, why in terms of the media landscape, why was this such a story that just could not be true? Was it because it posed too much of a threat to the idea of not having the exceptions?
I think what's disturbing is we heard a lot this week of the same Republicans and conservatives that use false claims of election fraud to now push false claims of abortion fraud. And that should not happen. The story here, as you said, is a tragic story of a 10-year-old girl who is raped by an undocumented man. He fortunately has been arrested and will face justice for his crimes. And what we need to look at this is an anecdote about how we navigate the post-Roe world. What do we do moving forward? Me, as a pro-life advocate, I believe that we should support life, the sanctity of life. I think there should be exceptions in the case of rape, incest, and life of the mother. And how would that affect a case like this? How will this affect the next case? Because unfortunately, there will be another one. And in this case, states are going to dictate the laws. And in this case, this girl, if she had reported this sooner, she could have opted for emergency contraceptives in this case. Unfortunately, it was reported and got to the authorities too late for that. But there are other alternatives. And what we need to do in this post-Roe world is navigate and educate people. What do we do next time this comes up? Early reporting, believing these girls, and making sure they get the best pre-birth care they can. And in my case, I would advocate for supporting life and encouraging women how they can go about getting the financial treatment and the medical treatment they need to choose life instead of abortion.
Well, one thing about that 6 weeks, I mean, they talk about grown women not necessarily knowing they're pregnant before a certain period of time. I mean, a 10-year-old not knowing that they're pregnant to be able to report, that's probably where you're going with this thought.
She's 10. There are women in their 50s who have been raped and who have never told their story, let alone a 10-year-old, and you want her to have the courage in 6 weeks to be educated enough. I don't want to have to educate a 10-year-old about rape and what happens if you're raped. That shouldn't be the life that they have to live. And the reason why these Republicans didn't believe her is because they know they are wrong. When we talk about abortion rights, people who do this, they said there are cases, every case is unique, but cases like this will come up. And they call us the woke left. They call us these radicals. No, we're people who deal with folks every single day and know the lived experience of what it's like to have to decide whether or not you're going to terminate an abortion or not. And they got caught in their lies, and they got caught in trying to take autonomy out of a woman's right to choose, and especially a little girl. And so they tried to dismiss her. They tried to erase her. And that's what Republicans who don't believe in what actually happened in the election, Republicans who don't want a woman's right to choose, they want us to be erased. And that's unacceptable. And they got caught in their lies, and they should be shamed.
Jonah, you can't be quiet during this. I know you.
I'm trying. I
want you to come in here. I know we invited everyone to talk. I want you to weigh in as well.
Let me take the safest course and disagree with you.
Is that the safest course? Wow, that's breaking news.
You're the farthest away.
Okay, fine.
Look, I agree with your slams on Jesse Waters and on Tucker. What they're doing is irresponsible and grotesque. And but you said something about the Wall Street Journal where they said their about face was as astounding and outrageous or something like that. I think their about face was the exact right thing to do. They apologized, they corrected the record, they said we were wrong. And that's not what Tucker and Jesse are doing. Sure. And we should be clear about this. There were legitimate reasons to say that the story wasn't nailed down. I mean, Glenn Kestner's piece was utterly reasonable to me. I stayed out of it entirely because I am sick of what social media encourages, this race to be wrong first, where people run with stories that you should wait for the second shoe to drop on them. And it happens all the time. And sometimes those stories are going to be beneficial to the left, and sometimes they're going to be beneficial to the right when they go the wrong way. There are going to be bad stories for the pro-choice side in the next few years. There are going to be bad stories for the pro-life side, probably more bad stories for the pro-life side given the way things are going. But to sort of say that being skeptical about a story, I understand what they meant. I thought it was a terrible headline, but I understand what they meant when they say too good to confirm. What they're meaning is that it does lend incredible moral power to the pro-choice argument. This is such a horrible story. And there are going to be more of those kinds of stories. And
you and I have actually talked about this idea of the moral power. And if you could just flesh it out, because I think I understood you to mean in that notion of sort of the moral shaming aspect, or moral bullying, I think was the phrase you've used in the past with me, is the idea, not against me, but the phrase we've talked about together, has been the idea of if somebody brings up a story like this that is so heart-wrenching, that is so awful, that it shuts down the other side's ability to respond, because what are you going to say aside from,
I'm wrong.
it didn't happen?
Yeah, I mean, no one is going to want to be maneuvered into the, well, I'm in favor of the horrible rape of a 10-year-old girl position. No one wants to seem like it, which is why, like, Jim Jordan should just man up and say, hey, look, I got out over my skis. I screwed up. I let my biases get the best of me. I thought the biased media was pulling one over on me. I was wrong. People are going to be wrong. It's going to be an ugly fight for the next 5 years as people figure out how to deal with this stuff. And so, like, that's why I hate the whole story.
Well, and not to mention, not only acknowledge that you were wrong and apologize and set the record straight, but don't go the other extreme and say, oh, this is because of Biden's open border policies letting undocumented people in this country. That's not the answer either.
That actually might be where they go next. And they're there. Well, you know, we're here. We're coming right back. Ashley, Jonah, Alice, thank you so much. Listen, first on CNN, new developments in the January 6th investigation. Did Cassidy Hutchinson's version of a key moment just get confirmed?